Hello everyone, I'm Callie Bradford and I'm with the Tullahoma News, and today we're here with Bill Nichols. We're at the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center. He's got a show coming up. We open up on Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. And what's the name of the show?
In the Meantime.
In the Meantime. Well, tell me a little bit about that.
Thea Boehm got on the board of Tullahoma Arts Center a couple months ago, I'm not sure when, and she came up to me and asked me to have a show. And she's pretty hard to say no to, because you're a wonderful person. And so I said I would do it, and I hadn't had a show in several years. I don't show very often. And so I kind of wanted to have, I make stuff and then put it in a room in my offices. I have an insurance agency in Manchester. And so I make it and put it in there. And I have never seen it out in 10 years, let's say. So,
okay.
So that's why I call it In the Meantime.
Just
like, that's what I've been doing in the meantime.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, it's very colorful. There's a lot of different types of pieces, a lot of mixed media, there's some sculpture. And so this is the stuff that you've been doing in the past 10 years since you've shown. So talk about the inspiration behind the pieces.
You know, I don't, I make itself.
Okay.
Like, I don't sit down and say, okay, today I'm going to work. If it doesn't want to be made, I just go about my business. And every now and then something will just have to come out of me. I don't know how that is, but creative people get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and so in 2007, I started on these little cutout maquettes right here, and then I left them aside. And then in 2012 or so, my friend helped me make these larger sculptures based on these smaller maquettes. And then I was taking my son to art classes, and I did that while he was doing his art class.
Cool.
Did it with him for a couple of years, and that was in 07. I think those are the oldest pieces in here. And then there's some photographs that I take along the way. And this sculpture down here I thought about for probably, I was thinking about that in high school and in college. I wanted to make that thing. I never found the right piece of wood or the right anything.
Yeah.
And again, Kirby, my friend, heard me talking about it one time. He said, well, we can make that. So then he and I set about making that.
Cool.
And then, I don't know, am I talking about?
No, you're doing great. Well, talk about the bright colors, because everything is so colorful. Is that just something you're drawn to? Yeah,
like these, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know, these paintings are, if you start looking at them, you'll notice it's one drawing underneath each one of them, and I try to do it differently. And a lot of artists, if you look at, they paint a certain way, let's say, but they'll go to different landscapes, but paint in that same manner.
Yeah.
So my idea in 1989, well, actually it was 1993 when I made this drawing. I thought, well, I'm going to keep doing it, but try to do it differently every time.
Okay.
So it's kind of a reverse problem. And I don't know how successful I've been. Maybe moderate. On occasion I'm successful, but I've done hundreds of them, and of which 10 are represented in here. But so that is ongoing. Like if I can't think of something else to do, I go back to that painting. Okay. And then like these sculptures will come up, and I'll do that for a while, and then I can't do anything, I'll go back to that painting. Okay. Then I did a few of these, just came out of nowhere. I don't know. That's kind of some leftover stuff one afternoon. I just started in on it, and a couple of weeks later I had that. Okay. I don't even know what that is really. It's just a thing. So
well, are there any particular, I guess canvases is kind of I want to make it more broad. Is there anything that you won't paint on or design on, or is everything just kind of up for grabs?
It's up for grabs. Okay. And like these sculptures down through the middle, each one of those are based on a found object somewhere. Okay. Like that piece of cedar, I was taking my daughter to a soccer match out in Bell Buckle, and I passed it on the side of the road, and I thought, man, that thing would be cool. And we were coming back, had a drive by, and I saw it again coming back to I-24. Well, about a month later, I had to go back, and that thing was still sitting there. So I pulled over and picked it up, and so anything really. And that's a mustard jar with that hat on it. I made the hat.
Very cool.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what it is. It's kind of cool.
We'll talk about choosing pieces for this exhibit, and kind of what you hope the folks who stop by and see it get from it.
Well, Becky Childress was really helpful in that. She's a really smart lady, and she was mentioning artists that were on a test she gave to some of her students the other day. And I haven't said those words in Coffee County since I've lived here. Like Christo, nobody knows who Christo is, and you shouldn't. It's just been kind of a forefather of conceptual art, especially in place art. But it was cool hearing her talk about that. But anyway, she came over to my office, and I asked her to kind of help me work through that, and she pointed to this and this and this and this. And I did want a little bit of everything, and I've got 3 drawings that aren't here yet that'll be here Friday, Saturday night. They're being framed now. And I kind of want to look, whenever I have a show, I kind of like for it to look like a group show.
Okay.
Like I don't really, a little bit of everything, and then people are like, wow, is that one artist, that's another artist, but God, sometimes I think artists, easy now, but I think artists hold themselves back a little bit, like they got more in them than they know.
Yeah.
And or creative people, I should say, do. So anyway, that's what I kind of wanted. I hope there are 4 different looking things in here, 5, something.
Yeah. Well, talk about your background with art. How did you become this creator of all these cool, colorful pieces?
In high school, I did a little drawing in English class one time. We had to write a paper about the Canterbury Tales and illustrate it. I did a little illustration. Everybody was like, oh, that's really good. That's about the only thing I ever drew. A little bit of other stuff. And then I went to Walter State, which is equivalent to Montlow, but in East Tennessee. And I went there for a year and a half while I worked at a factory. And when I came out and went to East Tennessee State University to be a teacher, hardly any of my classes transferred.
Oh.
Nowadays, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
But back then, I think I ended up with, they were even making me take English Lit over again. And I thought I had a really great teacher at Walter State. So anyway, I'm walking across campus, and I was a little bit of a little backward, I guess you'd say, and I walked into this building, and I asked this guy, what are you doing in here? He said, and I walked into a studio, unbeknownst to me, and there were people around this painting still life. That was a life jacket and a hard hat, kind of bright colors. And I asked the guy, the professor, what are you doing? He said, you need to get out of here. He said, get out of here, we're having class. So I walked out the hallway and I stood there for a minute. And then I was like, So I didn't walk back in. I said, hey, what are you guys doing really? I don't know what this is. And he said, you need to get outside. So I went outside and waited till the class was over. And then when he came out, I said, do you mind telling me? He said, okay, I'll tell you. He said, we're painting, there's a painting class. I said, you get a degree in art? He said, yeah. So I went right back to administration and changed my degree in art. And I've always loved teaching and always kind of, back on my mind, missed that I didn't do that at the same time. It totally changed my life, right?
Yeah.
Because I had no idea. So just one of those, I don't know where it came from, but I did it. I never.
So you graduated,
Bachelor of Fine Arts from ETSU.
Okay. And so ever since you just kind of dabbled when you can, or?
Well, for a few years I tried to make it, do it, but I was really reluctant to move to a big city, and I stayed in Johnson City, which is pretty much impossible. And but I worked at it really diligently, like a job from 8 or 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and made some arguably good or bad stuff, mostly bad. And right now, mostly what I make is bad. Although the more I do it, the more it seems like I get, you get more proficient at what you do.
Yeah.
But, and then I kind of decided to re-enter and met Amy, who's, by the way, Pet Medical Center is also sponsoring this, along with Bill Nichols Insurance. Okay. And but I met Amy, and she and I have been friends for 10 years or so, and ended up getting married and decided to, work and do. And the time I use that I work is my work time, but even if you're an artist, you can only make work so much time. Then you got to go out and schmooze and attend and do. It's a lot of effort that I think is not talked about enough, really. And so that's sort of the time that I give to my work and to my family. And then I still have time, I would say, not much different than what many artists have to give to their art. It's not all just making art. You got to do the rest of it.
Yeah, you have to live a life and all that other good stuff. Yeah. Well, do you have any, especially since it's a show that's 10 years later, I guess, you're showing 10 years after, do you have any nerves about putting your stuff out there for everybody?
I don't worry about that. I do. I invite criticism. I love it. I hope that's a big thing to me is I would love to hear some criticism. I don't mean bashing people's art or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but if people say, oh, that's reminiscent of that, and somebody else can do it a lot better, or that's not very, or that's really good, you know, because I don't get much interaction. Of course, my family know everything. My son that helped me hang the show, he was telling Becky what the titles were, because I'd kind of forgotten already,
Yeah.
you know, and so.
So your kids and everybody, the family's kind of really into it, and they kind of.
Well, I mean, they support me, you know. If we go on vacation, we have to go to art museums, they don't mind much.
Any favorite art museums?
You know, I don't know.
It's always
Just all the big ones like the
Yeah.
Art Institute and the Met and the MoMA. And we went to, we just went to spring break and went to the Hirshhorn in New York. It was really, no, that's in DC. We went to the Guggenheim in New York.
Uh-huh.
It was really good. They had a great show in there. So the big museums, I guess.
Okay.
I go to the Frist a lot in Nashville.
Yeah,
They bring stuff through there.
They have a lot more exhibits, I think, than what they have had. They're kind of. It seems like it turns itself up
It does.
more
Mhm.
than it has in the past. So, or for me,
I
it
agree.
has. So.
When they first opened, they did it. Then they kind of something
Mhm.
lulled out of it. Now
Yeah,
they're-
well, I think they did a big remodel too, and that kind of slowed things down. I was
Maybe.
up there once, and they had like just 2 little exhibits, and that was it. It was
Mhm.
kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
But then you go up there and you're wowed, you know. So, well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I really do
My pleasure.
appreciate it.